Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there's someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Oh, Mia, you must get a complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on my situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him? This is right?
Good morning. This is Mr. Attorney, the day of the trial. This is it, Mr. Attorney, the day of the trial.
Maya, she's unharmed, right?
Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. But don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial.
Grrr.
For my sake as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning.
Present? What in the world would you want to give me?
You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please.
Wait! The kid never sent me a present? Miss Larry did? Who is that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? No, but something else did. But that was because of me, not.
Court is now in session for the trial of Madame Guard. Are the prosecution and defense ready?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma?
I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor!
Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it?
Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman.
What?
Shot! Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright?
I don't have that answer.
She's alive and in stable condition.
That's good. Phew. But, you're...
I thought he'd show up. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Francesca Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. Prosecution is ready. Naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I've looked this case over and I'm familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Madame Guard.
The court acknowledges the prosecution.
Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name is Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down the precinct, for now.
For now?
After this trial is over,
I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir.
Detective Gumshoe?
Prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Dick Gumshoe.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is gonna be one very rough fight.
Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he's struggling for. Interesting. Tell me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Please show me your evidence.
This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Cuida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room?
Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms, sir.
I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Alright. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony?
Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. Ended around 8 p.m. and then there was a short break.
A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. That's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period.
Please continue with your testimony, detective.
A victim, Juan Cuida, was found dead in his hotel room. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct?
Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about?
She's the defendant, Madame God's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir.
Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she'll grace us with her presence.
When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. On Guard. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir.
I see, and that's when she found the victim's body.
After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. The cause of death? Wasn't that because Mr. Cuida was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now a real pro's attention would be drawn here to this bandana.
Banana!
His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir.
Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana.
Then what about the knife? It seemed to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death.
We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
At first we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. A jamming ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. We couldn't find anywhere at the scene of the crime.
Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that?
We thought of that too, but...
The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims.
Only the victims, huh?
I see. Ah, so much for my theory then.
I mean, he could be wearing gloves. No? Okay.
However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder.
What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case?
The guitar wasn't at the Gay War Hotel that night. Well then, where was it?
The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Cuida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir.
So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case?
Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana.
And after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him.
Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing.
Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter.
Yes, sir.
Matt Engarde and Juan Cuida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was whipped off the ninja's costume and was found in Mr. Engarde's hakama. A defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. A defendant bought the knife for a crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing.
It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty quickly, sir. Huh.
And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood?
Yes, and we know that the blood on it's the victim's blood, sir.
What?
All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it?
Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right?
I'll find the hole in your argument somehow.
You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions.
Grrr.
God, get a room, guys.
Engarde and Juan Cuida were huge rivals with each other.
But in terms of popularity, Mr. Engarde won, did he not?
Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Cuida was always one step behind Mr. Engarde in everything. This year, it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown.
But Mr. Cuida lost the Grand Prix in the end.
That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing.
But
they each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book.
But we're not reading your book, Detective. Mr. Engarde was beating Mr. Cuida in the popularity polls.
Well, yeah, I guess, but...
Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Which means he is not the killer. Which
yes, I quite agree. Well, Detective?
It's not... Well, I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you're fired.
Hey? Not to you two, sir. Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
I look forward to your pension negotiations.
No! Now, Detective, let's continue with the testimony.
Sniffle, no, not my poor pension, too. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir.
What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone?
As for evidence, there's a Jammin' Ninja's button.
Do you have any proof that button belonged to the victim?
Huh? What do you mean, pal?
Oh, let me put it this way.
I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was whipped off that ninja's costume?
Huh? But can't you tell by just looking at it?
And the victim's blood is on it! Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward.
Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir!
Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence, not to reel this one in. Thread... Huh? The button was attached to the costume by a thread, obviously, and that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match.
Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal.
Arrgh! That's Edgeworth Fire. Never messes up bait.
Yeah.
It was whipped off the ninja's costume and was found in Mr. Engarde's hakama.
When was this button found?
Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Cuida. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder.
The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people.
Hey, what is he trying to say about me here?
The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife.
How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife?
Huh? What do you mean, pal?
By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand?
Oh, is that what you meant? Is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that.
I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless, were you paying attention to the testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There's no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder.
So is the defendant the owner of this knife then?
The defendant bought the knife for the crime.
Which makes this a premeditated murder.
Bought the knife? There's no way that this was a premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife.
Sorry, pal, this isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either.
Arg, well, this is not good. If the prosecution could prove it was a premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective just said. Think carefully before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood and a knife with Engarde's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel and closed it. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. Let's find the weakness in this testimony, no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Yes, ma'am. Alright. You say it was premeditated, but I find that hard to believe. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand?
That's right, pal. The defendant
did not buy this knife.
Huh?
Take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh?
It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before.
That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel.
Uh-oh.
The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated, which means my client is not guilty.
Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I didn't know. Oh, whimper. The question is, where did this knife come from, and where did it go?
Well, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Quater's room.
Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate the last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table.
There's a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from?
If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Engarde. Especially what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Engarde's knife was missing. Mr. Engarde had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder.
Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth! Absolutely brilliant! A brilliantly clear deduction!
It seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. This one must be one of his traps, and I just walked headlong into it.
A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here.
I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your honest time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court.
Evidence not yet shown?
He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, no evidence.
What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well, FedEx. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer something wrong here,
that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court?
I think so, yeah. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one.
What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us.
You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court?
My badge. This wine glass, Your Honor.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup was all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on the top of the dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that is sitting on the top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is his wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration.
Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth?
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible. Mr. Wright?
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? I mean, no. Like, if I saw a body, I wouldn't carefully put my wine glass on the table. I would just drop it on the floor. No way.
If I appear weak here, the trial is over.
I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. That's my fault if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it.
What?
Impossible. You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass is Kate my notice?
Then...
Of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints.
Fingerprints?
There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of Adrian Andrews.
What?
That is why I said that the person who discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright?
Grr, I can't believe I fell into another trap.
Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Creda. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and carefully set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Now, do you see, right? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. Grrr! I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover.
Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence to me to add to my verdict.
Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. Prosecution is yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. Where in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? I think I have a clue. Another witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please.
G-O-C-T-H-A-L-M-A-L.
Grrr.
I wonder what happened to that calm composure you had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy, it's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew under that helmet? It was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand.
I tell you, this time, I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm gonna tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know.
Oof! Shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now.
Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam.
No, please, by all means interrupt her. Please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please.
It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Albag?
It was a great job being able to see my dear Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida. But those two are the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night.
Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room.
He was on guard, man on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. God came out from the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Something is off here.
Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room.
Miss Albag, what was your post on that night?
The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. But I refused to help. I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door.
There was something I was interested in finding out, you know.
Something you were interested in, and just what was that?
It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret, between me and Juan. And AGP, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in?
I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it dependent testimony later. It looks like we shouldn't force it right now.
And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time?
Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time.
Oh, then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Grader's room?
I have no idea.
I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report.
In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct?
That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room.
Who in the world was that?
I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room, he was...
Yes, he was.
I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francesca's whip right about now.
Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway.
He was on guard, by the guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
You saw my client. Are you sure about that?
You see?
Really?
Annoying brat! When I say I saw someone, I saw that person.
Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. The person's... Yeah, did you see the person's face? Obviously. Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail.
You don't need me to tell you about his face. That soft, gentle look in his eyes and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by his silky hair. His sparkling, shining teeth. His teeth were shining? Well, he's shining all around in this week's pinup poster, dearie.
This week's pinup? Why do you... I mean, I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please say what you saw that night.
What? On guard's face is the same no matter where it is, you know, you whippersnapper.
So, Mr. Wright, was his testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
I think so. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Oh. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to give me the say.
Mr. Wright, there is something much more valuable than a person's pride. And that is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions.
Yes, Your Honor. I think I just wasted his good favor.
She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us, really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It always has a tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. Alright, what about the person's clothes? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail.
What a troublesome man you are, really. As if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing is always wearing. That racing jacket.
Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center too.
That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right.
So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
I think so, yeah. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Oh. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important.
Don't you see, Edgeworth?
Your Honor, I request what the witness said about the racing jacket to be appended to our testimony. Appended to our testimony.
I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright, witness, please.
Oh, well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. Are you sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket? What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in anything other than that horrible thing. I'm sure he was wearing it. She's so sure of herself that it's to the point of self-absorption. She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us, really bad. But that's how the human mind... Anyways. Okay. Then how do you explain the button? Miss Old Bag.
What? Don't say my name for no reason.
Do you know what this is?
Ah! It's a button number 2 on the Japanese costume.
Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance.
Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this!
Wow, she really is a die-hard fan who wanted a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Engarde's body during our full-body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt is that rascal on guard. It was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai Hakama pants. See? And on guard is the Nickel Samurai. Witness? Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, man on guard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? I'm so sorry.
Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear.
If I wanted to take the stress, I maybe think it's short about it.
Besides, I have to put what is the after. You don't get this off this idiot's word. I'm going to take because on my chest, let me tell you.
It's heavy, so heavy. I wish we saved these years ago, but I can't. I understand. Now, take a look at Mary. You're close about anything as a dog.
Now he's got style. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Engarde, the man, but Mr. Engarde, the Nickel Samurai.
But when you think about it, god damn it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Allbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Hey, Jifu, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
Sigh. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Sigh.